Hello there and welcome to Election Brief. I'm Marba Coombs, and in the next half hour, the minority in Parliament accuses government of trying to undermine former President Mahama's chances of winning the 2020 elections by letting the special prosecutor pursue the Airbus scandal. We have details. Also, Electoral Commission refutes claim of using old biometric voter registration kits for the ongoing mass registration exercise.
Every questions about the Electoral Commission using old BVR kits in this registration exercise is overly pedestrian, and it clearly shows that those making the allegations either do not know the difference between the old and the new kits or are simply being mischievous.
And also in this bulletin, Opposition National Democratic Congress demands the arrest of Ablekuma North Member of Parliament Nanekwa Owusu-Efriye for flouting the COVID-19 protocols and campaigning at the voter registration centers in the constituency. We are live from our studio here at Kokomlemle in Accra, DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. Stay tuned in. Thanks again for your company. Now, we start off with the minority in Parliament, which is accusing government of trying to undermine former President John Dramani Mahama's chances of winning the 2020 elections by letting the special prosecutor pursue the Airbus scandal. Ningo Pram MP Samuel George says the Interpol arrest warrant by the police for Samuel Mahama is a deliberate effort to take the shine off the enthusiasm that has greeted the nomination of Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman as running mate of the NDC flag bearer. But Deputy Majority Whip in Parliament Matthew Nyendam disagrees. He says the law is only taking the rightful course and the move has nothing to do with the 2020 elections. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins me via Zoom on this for more on this. And so, Joseph, what more has the minority been saying about this particular matter? All right, we're experiencing some technical hitches, so we'll come back to Joseph Opoku-Gakpo on that. But, okay, so I do understand Joseph is back on now. Hello, Joseph. So you've been speaking to the minority as well as the majority on this matter of the Airbus. What more has the minority been saying?
Let's begin with the minority, specifically Samuel George, who is the NDC MP for Ningo Pram. He makes the argument and uses very harsh words on Martin Amidu, the special prosecutor, over his decision to actually pursue this Airbus scandal issue. He claims that Mr. Amidu is actually, to use Mr. George's words, a petty old man who is pushing a hatred-driven agenda against the NDC going into the 2020 elections, and goes on to make the point that following the appointment of Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman as the running mate of the NDC, there's been a lot of enthusiasm that the campaign has seen. And in his words, there is an attempt by President Akufo-Addo, who he says is controlling Martin Amidu robotically, to actually pour water on that particular action with regards to the enthusiasm, which is what he says is influencing the decision of Mr. Martin Amidu to pursue this particular case. But for him, the whole move will not fly, and he foresees a situation where, despite what he says is the hidden agenda against the government, against the NDC, they will still succeed with their campaign and win the upcoming elections.
Now, Joseph, there have been a lot of calls on the former president, John Dramani Mahama, for him to break his silence on this particular matter. I understand that that's one thing that the majority side has also been calling for. Is that the case? Precisely.
Matthew Nyendam, who is the Deputy Majority Chief Whip, has been making the same argument and saying that as far as those on the majority side are concerned, this case of pursuing the Airbus scandal is no form of witch hunt. There is no deliberate attempt on the part of the NPP to actually negatively affect the fortunes of the NDC going into the elections. And for Mr. Nyendam, now is the best time for the former president to publicly state that he's not involved in this particular scandal, so that then anyone who has any evidence to the contrary will go ahead and make that public. And for him, until the former president steps out there and subjects himself to the necessary scrutiny and even the right investigation by organizations like the Office of the Special Prosecutor, they are convinced that he is a corrupt individual and that he's very much involved in this scandal. And at the end of the investigation, they think that the truth will be out and those who are responsible for the said alleged bribes will actually be brought to book.
Joseph, away from this bribery scandal issue, we understand that the minority leader, Harun Idrisu, has also been addressing a media briefing, making serious allegations about the security agencies. Tell us about that.
He claims that there are secret recruitments which have been advertised that have been ongoing over the last few months. And he mentions the Ghana Police Service as well as the Ghana Immigration Service and the Ghana Armed Forces as the three main security agencies engaged in these illegal recruitments, as he claims. He gives some specific. He says the police training school at Tesano, there's been training ongoing there for individuals who didn't go through an open process where advertisements were done for people to actually be recruited. He says something similar is happening in Pualugu, and he says that all of this is aimed at the upcoming 2020 elections and an attempt by the government to actually pad the security agencies with some of its own. And he's been serving notice that the NDC is convinced they will form the next government in 2021, and he's warning that those who are going through these processes and are being recruited, those recruitments will be reversed when the NDC eventually comes to power. But he's asking civil society organizations and the media to shed light on these because he thinks these are very illegal activities that politicize the security agencies and should not be happening in these times of the nation's democracy with elections fast approaching.
All right, many thanks for those details. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. Moving on, the Human Rights Court of the High Court Division on Thursday fixed July 21 to deliver its decision on whether or not to compel the Electoral Commission to furnish Henry Ernest Norway, who is Member of Parliament for Ashaman, with some procurement information. Originally, the court presided over by Justice Gifty Ejay-Ado was to deliver its decision on July 16, but adjourned the matter to July 21. Mr. Norway had gone to court in March this year to compel the EC to provide him with some information on the procurement of the new biometric management system, the BVMS. Well, the MP's action came after the EC had declined to furnish him with information, stating that, quote, an applicant seeking to access information under the Right to Information Act shall pay the fee or charge approved by Parliament in accordance with the Fees and Charges Act 2009. Well, the Commission's case has been that the fees and charges applicable for the said information were yet to be determined in accordance with the law, hence the reason why I could not provide that information to the MP. Joseph Akable, our court correspondent, joins us via Zoom with further explanations. Joseph, so what's the background to this particular story?
And so, it was one of the very first cases that was filed. In fact, it's in terms of the request when the Right to Information Law took effect, one of the very first requests that was sent to any agency, in this particular instance, the Electoral Commission. It had to do with the procurement that had taken place that the MP felt he could rely on the law to ask for the documents pertaining to the process as to whether or not they went through the PP and got the necessary approvals for that particular procurement. And so he wrote to the Electoral Commission. He was waiting for a response. He got a response subsequently from them stating that they were unable to comply because of the failure by the state agencies responsible to fix the charges. And the point the MP kept making was to the effect that it's not his right as a citizen to ensure that those prices are fixed. And so once they've not been fixed, he cannot suffer the result of not getting access to information that he needs. And so once the law has come into effect, that cannot be an excuse for him not to get access to the information he requires. And so he took the matter over to the High Court, demanding that the court direct the EC to comply and provide him with that information, which he considers very important in terms of the electoral system and the electoral process that's already ongoing, and also to ensure that there's transparency in our governance structure, especially relating to elections as well.
And Joseph, what specifically will the court be determining at its next hearing?
So on July 21, the question to be answered is whether or not the EC's decision that they cannot provide information as a result of the unavailability of the prices relating to the cost of procuring that information, whether that decision is right. And so if the courts were to rule that is right, then it means that he would have to wait for the prices to be fixed. But if that was not the case, then it means that the EC would have to provide him with the information. And he believes that that would determine his next line of action, that if indeed it appears that they did not follow the right procedure leading to the procurement of these devices, then there are some individuals who must answer questions.
Right. Joseph Akable is our court correspondent, throwing some light on those details. Now, the Electoral Commission has again refuted claims that it is using old biometric voter registration machines for the ongoing registration exercise. Dr. Bosman Asari, who's Deputy Chairman for Corporate Services of the EC, in a briefing in Accra today said it's pure fabrication to speculate that the BVRs were not new when no one tried to authenticate such misleading information with the Commission.
To still clear the air on this, the Commission acquired from Talis DIS 80,000 biometric voter registration kits and another 530 as spares. So in total, 8,530 biometric voter registration kits. As we sit here now, over 90% of the kits are being used for the registration at our registration centers, our district offices, and the rest are being kept as backup in the various districts. In as much as scrutinizing the work of the Commission is important, we as a Commission we appreciate because it's accountability institution. People should be able to scrutinize, examine the work we do. We urge all Ghanaians, including civil society organizations, to do so with a high level of professionalism and candor. But you can't just sit anywhere and assume that we are not doing the right thing. You need to investigate and make sure you have the accurate information. Any questions about the Electoral Commission using old BVR kits in this registration exercise is overly pedestrian. And it clearly shows that those making allegations either do not know the difference between the old and the new kits or are simply being mischievous. One distinguishing feature of the BVR kits is that the scanners are either green bricks or Kojak. The current registration we are doing, the scanners are either green bricks or Kojak, and these are the scanners we are using. The computers are of different brands, and the batteries are completely different. The current laptops are Dell, while the former BVRs were HP. So these are completely different kits. So I even have pictures of the kits for everyone to see. The old kits, the batteries are removable. This one, the batteries are embedded. So you can see pictures of the new kits. They are so different from the old one. So the Commission finds it very, very strange that people will still make those allegations. The Commission is challenging anyone who has evidence it is using any of the old kits in this registration to show us the centers. Since those who are making the allegation, they are saying the centers are about 40%. That means currently in Greater Accra, nationally we are operating in 6,000, no, plus the district office, almost 6,900 centers.
Now, contrary to concerns about the exercise from some quarters, Dr. Bosman Asari said the EC believes the exercise has gone according to plan. He also gave an update on the current numbers registered.
Today happens to be the 18th of the registration. So as of the 16th, which happens to be up this last Wednesday, the Commission has registered a total of 7,279,237. 7,297,237. That's 7.2. That's a lot of people. The Greater Accra region leads with 1,524,600. 1,524,600. Followed by the Ashanti region, 1,319,498. Four of the regions constitute almost 60% of the registered votes.
You're still here on the election brief. Now, the opposition National Democratic Congress has called for the arrest of the Ablekuma North Member of Parliament, Nana Ekia Owusu-Efriye, for flouting the COVID-19 protocols and campaigning at the voter registration centers in the constituency. A statement signed by Adekoka indicated that the Member of Parliament on July 13, 2020, without regard to our electoral laws and the EC's directives for strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols, toward some registration centers and turned same into campaign platforms. The NDC is therefore calling on the EC to take disciplinary action against its officials in areas such as Bintu Awoshi, Odoko, Dakuman West, Kwashiman Zone 2, among others. Our checks, however, reveal the incident. The viral video was taken at the Ideal College Registration Center at Sakaman. Watch. All right, so Greater Accra Regional Secretary of the NDC, Theophilus Tetechai, joins me via Zoom. Thanks for your time. Now, have you filed an official complaint with the Electoral Commission on this particular matter?
Thank you very much. As a region, we have asked the constituency in question to do the filing of complaints as to the reckless behavior of the MPP Member of Parliament, endangering the lives of registration officers and students at the registration center. At the end of the process, the region as a whole will put up some of the irregularities that we've seen during this particular phase and will report accordingly.
And what will be your next line of action should the EC fail to heed your call?
Well, it will be very surprising for the EC not to act on this particular incident. Looking at the fact that the EC officials who are doing the registration are not supposed to be partisan, and are expected to ensure that the rules governing the registration exercise are strictly enforced. This is a polling station that had security operatives also ensuring that there is law and order. And to allow a member of parliament to conduct herself to endanger the lives of the young students registering is something that we don't even, the EC do not even need the NDC as a political party to file a formal complaint. At least they've seen the viral video, they've seen their officials, some cheering on, whilst the PC or the parliamentary, the member of parliament for the constituency is making all those claims at the registration center. So we believe that the EC needs to be very proactive. The good citizens of this country have exposed the rot that is being perpetuated by this government in the registration exercise. We have all this while maintained that the essence of the reopening of the various secondary schools for registration is for some of these activities to take place. And clearly, day in and day out, some of these things are being brought to the fore. And I believe that the EC does not need the NDC as a political party to act. They know the rules, they've seen the viral video, and as a responsible entity, they need to act and act decisively.
wait the EC's response to this particular issue. Now, NDC flag bearer John Mahama's choice of running mate has been hailed by some as a masterstroke that will win votes for the opposition party from gender advocates in particular. Now, Mr. Mahama has been given details on why he settled on Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. Speaking at a call on the founder of the party, Jerry John Rawlings, Mr. Mahama said his running mate is competent and that was a deciding factor for him.
We're not choosing her just because she's a woman. She has the kind of credentials that make her worthy of the nomination. She's been a lecturer in the University of Cape Coast for so many years, and she came out as the first female vice chancellor of a public university in Ghana. I appointed her as Minister of Education, and she served with integrity, without blemish. She did quite a lot in the area of education. She supervised the free school uniforms program, the free school sandals program. In her time, at the time we came into office, in the basic schools, 4 children used to share 1 textbook. By the time she left office as education minister, each child had 4 textbooks to themselves. And this improved learning in our country. Under her watch in the Ministry of Education, Ghana for 3 successive years scored the highest in the West African school certificate examination. And we took the 3 top spots consecutively. I had the honor to present the awards to the students at the time. So she did talk a lot. She started a program for the new secondary schools, the E-blocks. We commissioned a little over 40 of them, but by the time we left office, at least 73 of them were almost ready for occupation. And so there's a lot that she's done to be worthy of being nominated, and I want to thank you for the collaboration we shared in coming to that decision.
Well, Mr. Rawlings says Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman's integrity makes her stand tall.
Integrity that earned you this position to be chosen as a running mate. And I think it's important that you do everything possible to hold on to that integrity. Yeah. It wasn't the size of any gun or the size of your account that made this possible. So I think it's also equally important that in coming on board, you're coming through the right door and not through the wrong door. Like Gans used to claim we used to do with our children before their baptism. You know, I watched an interview. No, it was a panel discussion. I think it should be put out there for quite a number of people to see. And I think you should visit some of these institutions and share, you know, your thoughts with them. Let people wake up to your value.
Now, some NDC members in Minshia North constituency in Kumasi are raising concerns about what they describe as overlapping centers in the ongoing voters registration exercise. According to some of them, some centers known in the past to be in the Tafo Pankrono constituency have now been cited in Minshia North. NDC parliamentary aspirant Hamza Swala is worried constituents who are unaware of the changes may end up registering in wrong constituencies. He wants swift action from the EC to address the challenge. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
All new polling stations were created, and for that matter, they have to start working on the day of registration. So my people, or the people in Moshizongo, most of them trooped to Afriku's Barbering Center, which is named, officially gazetted in the books of EC, that place is a polling station for Moshiz in Meshanov.
Mr. Swala says though the EC has promised to resolve the issue, information available suggests otherwise.
We had call from other people that the people of Metafo constituency are claiming that the Africus belongs to Tafu constituency, but rather not mention of constituency. It's something that we don't get it clear. So we came there and we saw that there are 3 police stations in a row. Police station 1, which is the Africus police station, is from Moshizongo. And after that, there is Ibadia. That one is a polling station created for Tafu constituency. And in that same premises, there's another polling station called the Unity International. That one too is for mention of constituency. You know, so it's 3 polling stations. First one is for mention of constituency. Second one is for Tafu constituency. And the third one too is for mention of constituency. So we had issues on that. We called on the EC boss that's opening. We talked to him and he said he will resolve it. That's fine with us. So everything went off yesterday. Today we had a call again from the Aru telling us that his boss has told him not to start work here, but that he should move to Unity International to start working. The gazetted name Africus Barbering Center, which is captured in the book of EC, that place will be given to the people of Tafu constituency. But brother, looking at this thing, it's not done anywhere. The people in this area.
Unfortunately, that will be all for Election Brief for today and for this week. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Remember, you can always catch Election Brief on My Joy Online as well. Coming up next is Sports Today. I'm Mara Bokumson. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.